Joy was born in a quiet town where mornings smelled of roasted corn and evenings echoed with the laughter of children playing barefoot on sandy streets. Her family was not wealthy, but there was peace in their home. Her mother worked as a seamstress and her father taught in the local school. From her earliest years, Joy carried a calmness that made her different. She wasn't the loudest child in the compound, not the one chasing every game. Instead, she was thoughtful, careful, always watching people and learning from them. Cynthia lived just 2 houses away. If Joy was calm water, Cynthia was fire. She was bold, outspoken, always the first to run into the middle of a group, always laughing the loudest. Her mother used to call her my dancing star because she was never still for long. From the age of 7, Cynthia's beauty began to draw attention. She had wide, bright eyes that seemed to shine when she smiled, and her hair, when braided, always looked as though it belonged on a magazine cover. Adults would often pinch her cheeks and say, "This one will trouble boys one day." They laughed, but their words planted something in her heart, a confidence that her looks were enough to carry her through life. Despite their differences, Joy and Cynthia became inseparable. They walked to school together, shared snacks during break time, and even quarreled over pencils and notebooks, only to make up within minutes. Their parents watched them with quiet amusement, often saying, "These two are like twins born in different wombs." On weekends, Joy would run to Cynthia's house and they would sit on the veranda weaving stories about their future. Cynthia always spoke of bright lights, parties, and rich men who would buy her dresses and jewelry. Joy would smile and say, "I don't need all that. I just want peace, a good home, and someone who loves me." Cynthia would roll her eyes laughing. "Ah, Joy, you are too serious. You will see, one day I will be living like a queen." But even at that young age, Joy's words carried a kind of wisdom, the kind that most children never thought about. When boys from the neighborhood started hanging around, bringing sweets or offering to carry Cynthia's books, Joy felt uneasy. She would whisper, "Don't talk to all of them. Not everyone means well." Cynthia would wave her hand dismissively. "Relax, Joy. Let me enjoy my life. I know how to handle boys." Joy didn't argue much after that. She simply watched, her heart sometimes heavy, because she could sense a road her friend was choosing, even if Cynthia could not. Their teenage years deepened the contrast between them. In secondary school, Cynthia bloomed even more. She became the girl every boy noticed. Teachers would sometimes shake their heads, warning her to stay focused on her books. She was smart, yes, but she often allowed the flattery of boys to distract her. She loved their attention, the way they followed her after school, the way they carried her bag or offered to buy her snacks. She never truly loved any of them, but she basked in the thrill of being wanted. Joy remained different. She had admirers too, though fewer, but she never entertained them. When a boy slipped a love note into her exercise book, she would quietly throw it away. When another tried to walk her home, she politely refused. Her classmates often teased her, calling her old woman because of her maturity. But Joy didn't mind. She was more interested in her studies, in her small dreams of one day becoming something more than what her parents had been. At night, she would sit by the kerosene lamp, studying, while her father corrected her mathematics. And when she tired, she would dream, not of wealth, not of parties, but of a gentle life with someone who understood her. She didn't know who that person would be, but she trusted she would find him. One particular afternoon stood out in their memory. They were 16, sitting under the mango tree in Cynthia's yard. Cynthia had just returned from school, her hair still tied in neat plaits, her face glowing from the sun. She had received 3 different gifts that day: sweets from one boy, a necklace from another, and a love letter filled with promises from a senior. She spread them out proudly in front of Joy. "See," she said, giggling, "I told you, they are chasing me everywhere. Which one do you think I should take seriously?" Joy frowned, touching the necklace. It was cheap, the kind sold by the roadside. "Cynthia, don't let all this enter your head. A boy who gives you a necklace today may hurt you tomorrow. Look for someone serious, someone with dreams." Cynthia leaned back, laughing. "Dreams don't buy dresses, my dear. Forget all this your advice. I will enjoy my youth. Don't worry about me." Joy sighed, but said nothing. She knew her friend's heart was set on excitement. Still, she loved Cynthia deeply and hoped one day she would understand. Their bond continued despite these differences. They attended each other's family functions, shared secrets, and defended one another against gossip. If someone mocked Cynthia for being too playful, Joy was quick to protect her. And when others teased Joy for being too serious, Cynthia would say, "Leave my friend alone, she is special." Life seemed simple then, as though their friendship could shield them from all the storms that adulthood would bring. They didn't know that choices, small as they seemed, were planting seeds for their future harvests. By the time they finished secondary school, their paths began to diverge. Joy applied to a modest university where she could focus on her studies. Cynthia chose a bigger city, drawn to the energy, the people, and the opportunities it promised. Their tearful goodbye at the bus station was filled with promises to write letters, to call, and to remain best friends no matter the distance. "Don't forget me," Cynthia said, holding Joy's hands tightly. "I could never forget you," Joy replied, her eyes wet. "Please be careful out there. Not everyone will wish you well." Cynthia smiled, brushing off the warning as she always did. "Relax, Joy. I'll be fine. And when I marry a rich man, you will be the first to visit me." Joy forced a smile, hugging her tightly. In her heart, she prayed silently for her friend. She prayed that life would be kind, that wisdom would come before regret. That was the last time they would live in the same neighborhood. Life was about to scatter them into different directions, testing everything they believed in: love, friendship, and the meaning of true happiness. University life brought new rhythms. For Joy, it was long walks to class with a bag full of books, quiet evenings in the library, and the hum of fans in crowded lecture halls. She wasn't the type to be seen in every party or gathering. Instead, she stayed in her hostel, studying or chatting with her roommates. She was friendly, yes, but she carried herself with a quiet dignity that kept certain people at a distance. It was during her second year that she met Daniel. He wasn't flashy, and nothing about him screamed for attention. He was just a quiet young man with a smile that came slowly but warmed whoever received it. He studied engineering, often seen in simple shirts and jeans, carrying a folder of notes under his arm. Their first meeting was almost accidental. Joy was struggling to carry a stack of books out of the library when one slipped and fell. Daniel bent quickly, picking it up before she could. "Careful," he said, handing it to her. His voice was gentle, the kind that carried more kindness than words. "Thank you," Joy replied, a little shy. From that day, their paths crossed more often. He would greet her after lectures, sometimes walking beside her when they both happened to be going in the same direction. Unlike other boys, Daniel never overwhelmed her with empty compliments or desperate attempts at attention. Instead, he asked about her studies, her family, her dreams. He listened when she spoke, really listened, and that made him different. Soon, their conversations grew longer. They would sit on a bench under a tree, talking about life. Daniel told her of his humble beginnings, a small village where his parents farmed, their struggles to send him to school, and his determination to make them proud. Joy found his honesty refreshing. There was no pretense, no false promise of riches he didn't have. One evening, as they walked back from a lecture, Daniel stopped, his face serious. "Joy," he said softly, "I may not have much now, but I want you to know that I will always respect you. I will work hard and I will stand by you if you let me." Joy looked at him, her heart calm. She saw no wealth, no luxury, but she saw sincerity. "That's all I need," she said. Their relationship began quietly, without the drama that surrounded many campus romances. Daniel couldn't shower her with expensive gifts. He had no car, no extra allowance from wealthy parents. What he gave her were small things: roasted ground nuts wrapped in paper when she studied late, a bottle of water after long lectures, or simply his presence when she felt tired. Some of Joy's friends didn't understand. They teased her, saying she could do better. But Joy didn't care. She knew what she felt and she trusted what she saw in Daniel. Cynthia, however, had a very different life in the city. The moment she stepped into her new university, she was like a flower opening in sunlight. Boys flocked around her almost immediately. Her beauty, combined with her boldness, made her the center of attention. She attended every party, wore the latest clothes, and laughed loudly at the admiration she received. Older men noticed her too. Lecturers, business people, men with cars waiting outside the campus gates. Cynthia loved the thrill. She loved the dinners in fancy restaurants, the gifts of perfumes and dresses, the weekends in hotels where she felt like a queen. She didn't see it as dangerous. To her, it was simply enjoying life. She told herself she was young and beautiful, and youth was not meant to be wasted on seriousness. When she called Joy on the phone, their conversations were often filled with laughter and teasing. "My dear, you won't believe it," Cynthia would say. "This man just bought me a new phone. Can you imagine? And yesterday another one gave me a gold chain." Joy would listen quietly, then reply, "Cynthia, be careful. All that glitters is not gold. You don't know these men's intentions." "Oh, Joy, you are too cautious," Cynthia would laugh. "Don't worry about me. I know what I'm doing. You are there with your Daniel that can't even buy you chicken, while I'm enjoying life. I told you before, beauty is meant to be used." Joy would smile softly, though sometimes her heart sank. She didn't want to argue. She only hoped her friend would one day see the truth. Back on campus, her life with Daniel grew stronger. He helped her with her studies, encouraged her when exams became stressful, and walked with her in the evenings when she missed home. Sometimes, when they sat together watching students hurry by, Daniel would point and whisper funny observations, making her laugh until her sides hurt. Those moments were richer than gold to her. But life was not easy. There were days when Daniel barely had money for food. Once, when his allowance was delayed, he went hungry so that he could buy Joy a simple notebook she needed. When she discovered what he had done, she almost cried. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. He shrugged with a gentle smile. "Because you needed it more." From then on, Joy became even more determined to stand by him. She refused gifts from other boys. She ignored the whispers that she was wasting her beauty on a poor man. She knew what she wanted and she knew who truly cared for her. As the years passed, Joy and Daniel grew closer, their bond tested but unbroken. Cynthia, meanwhile, continued her dazzling life. She had admirers in every corner of the city, but none stayed for long. She would laugh it off, saying there were plenty more where they came from. But yet, sometimes when she was alone in her hostel room, surrounded by the perfumes and dresses she had collected, a small voice inside her asked if this was really happiness. She silenced it with another night out, another dinner, another promise from another man. By the time both girls graduated, their stories had already begun to shape in very different directions. Joy walked out of school holding Daniel's hand, ready to face whatever life threw at them, together. Cynthia left with a reputation as the girl everyone wanted, but no one truly kept. The seeds they had sown in their youth were slowly sprouting, unseen but unstoppable. Life after graduation was not easy. The wide smiles and bright gowns of convocation day faded quickly into the harsh reality of job hunting. Joy and Daniel moved back to their small town, staying with his uncle while Daniel searched for work. Money was tight, sometimes painfully so. The city lights that Cynthia had lived under seemed far away for Joy, replaced by kerosene lamps and the sound of crickets in the night. But through it all, Joy never complained. She would wake early, cook the little food they had, and encourage Daniel as he left for yet another interview. "Don't worry," she always told him. "One day, something will work out. Just keep going." Daniel never forgot those words. He carried them in his heart like fuel when rejection letters came, when offices turned him away because he had no connection, when even transport fare became a struggle. Sometimes, walking home under the blazing sun, his clothes damp with sweat, he felt like giving up. But then he would picture Joy's smile, her unwavering belief, and he would keep going. At last, a small breakthrough came. A local construction company hired him as a junior engineer. The pay was modest, but it was enough to keep him going. Daniel threw himself into the work, often staying late to learn from older colleagues, always giving his best. Slowly, his dedication was noticed. Within 2 years, he was promoted. Within 5, he was trusted with bigger projects. Joy stood by him through every step. She worked small jobs, teaching children after school, helping her mother with sewing to support them. When Daniel came home exhausted, she would rub his shoulders, listen to his worries, and remind him of their dreams. They had no riches, but their little home was filled with laughter, prayer, and love. Meanwhile, Cynthia's life told another story. She had stayed back in the city after graduation, certain that her beauty and connections would open doors. At first, it seemed so. Men continued to flock around her, some promising jobs, others offering to take care of her. She accepted their attention, moving from one man to another. There were nights in expensive hotels, weekends in flashy cars, dinners under golden lights. She posted pictures online of her glamorous life, always smiling, always dressed in the latest fashion. But beneath the surface, cracks were beginning to show. None of the men stayed. Some used her and left. Others were already married and only saw her as a temporary escape. Promises of business support turned to excuses. Jobs she thought would come through slipped away, and slowly, as she entered her late 20s, the endless attention began to dwindle. At family gatherings, aunties began to whisper, "Cynthia is so beautiful, yet she is still unmarried. What is she waiting for?" She laughed it off in public, but in private, the words stung. She thought of Joy sometimes, wondered how her friend was doing with her poor Daniel. She imagined them still struggling, living hand-to-mouth. That thought gave her comfort, a way to silence the quiet ache in her chest. But Joy and Daniel were not where she imagined. By their 7th year together, Daniel's career had taken a sharp upward turn. He had left the small construction company and joined a larger firm in the city. His reputation for honesty and hard work spread, and soon he began to receive offers for private contracts. With Joy's encouragement, he started his own small firm. The beginning was rocky, with sleepless nights and countless risks, but little by little, it grew. Joy was right beside him, helping where she could, keeping records, making calls, even running errands when needed. Daniel often told people, "She is not just my partner, she is the backbone of everything I do." By their 10th year together, Daniel's business had blossomed into something remarkable. He now owned cars, properties, and offices in different parts of the country. The same man who once couldn't afford transport fare now had drivers and assistants. But through it all, he never changed the way he looked at Joy. To him, She was still the girl with calm eyes, the girl who believed in him when no one else did. He bought her gifts now, the kind he could not afford in their early days: gold jewelry, fine dresses, even a small boutique that he established in her name. But when he handed her the keys to the shop, she hugged him with tears in her eyes and said, "It's not the boutique, Daniel. It's the love behind it. That's what I treasure." They became the couple others admired. People spoke of their story with respect, how they had started with nothing, how they had endured, how they now lived with dignity and success. And Cynthia? By the time she crossed into her 30s, her beauty was still there, but they no longer drew crowds as it once had. Younger girls had taken her place in the spotlight. The rich men who once showered her with gifts now chased after others. Relationships came and went, leaving her emptier each time. She tried to start small businesses, using money given by admirers, but none lasted. She lacked consistency, and when the men left, so did the funding. At family events, the whispers grew louder. Cousins who once envied her now pitied her. Aunties who once praised her beauty now asked quietly, "Does she not have someone serious yet?" One evening, sitting alone in her apartment, she scrolled through her phone and stopped at a picture. It was Joy and Daniel, smiling, standing in front of a new house they had just completed. In the caption, Joy wrote, "Grateful for 10 years of love, laughter, and growth with my best friend." Cynthia stared at the picture for a long time, her throat tight. Memories rushed back. Joy's calm advice under the mango tree, her warnings about chasing empty things, her quiet smile the day they parted for different universities. She had laughed then, certain she was choosing the brighter path. Now she wasn't so sure. She put down the phone and covered her face with her hands. The 10th year of Joy and Daniel's love arrived like the sunrise after a long night. They had been through struggles, endured lack, celebrated victories, and now stood on solid ground. When Daniel proposed to Joy again, this time with a ring he had saved months to buy, it wasn't in a crowded restaurant or under flashing lights. He took her to the same mango tree in her parents' yard where she had once given Cynthia advice, and there he knelt. "Joy," he said softly, his eyes glistening, "you were with me when I had nothing. You believed in me when no one else did. Will you walk with me into the rest of our lives?" Joy's tears fell before she could answer. She held out her hand, her voice trembling. "I have been walking with you all along. Yes, Daniel, 1,000 times yes." Their wedding was simple but beautiful. Family, friends, and neighbors filled the church, watching with admiration as Joy walked down the aisle. She wore a gown that shimmered, but not more than her smile. Daniel waited at the altar, his heart swelling with gratitude. When the pastor declared them husband and wife, the applause shook the hall. Many whispered that their story was proof that true love, mixed with patience, could weather any storm. Married life blossomed. Daniel's businesses flourished even more, expanding into different ventures. He built a large home for Joy, one filled with light, laughter, and the warmth of family. Soon, they welcomed their first child, a handsome boy with Daniel's calm eyes. 2 years later, another son arrived, bringing even more joy to their home. Joy's days were full but fulfilling. She ran her boutique with grace, cared for her children, and supported her husband. Though wealth had come, she never lost the humility that defined her. She treated workers with kindness, gave to the poor, and often reminded Daniel, Let us never forget where we started. Daniel never forgot. Whenever he held her hand at night, he whispered thanks, not just to her, but to God for blessing him with a woman who had been his anchor. While Joy's life glowed brighter, Cynthia's grew dimmer. By 32, she was unmarried. The men who once competed for her attention were gone, married to younger women or settled into families. Her beauty was still there, but it no longer commanded the same power. She had no business to her name, no stable career, only memories of parties and gifts that had long lost their shine. Her mother's voice, once filled with pride, now carried disappointment. "Cynthia, you are not getting younger. Why don't you settle down?" She would force a smile and reply, "Don't worry, Mama, the right man will come." But deep down, her heart was heavy. Each birthday reminded her of time slipping away. One afternoon, while scrolling through her phone, she came across a video. It was Joy and Daniel celebrating their son's birthday. The house was filled with balloons, music, and laughter. Daniel was carrying the boy, while Joy stood beside him clapping. Their happiness was radiant, undeniable. Cynthia put the phone aside and stared at the wall. Tears blurred her vision as memories flooded back. Joy's warnings, her calm words, her steady choices. She remembered mocking her friend, calling Daniel poor, laughing at her serious lifestyle. Now this same Daniel was a wealthy man, a devoted husband, and a father. Joy, her childhood friend, was living the dream she had once dismissed as boring. For the first time, regret consumed her fully. She whispered to herself, "If only I had listened, if only." But the past could not be undone. Months later, she gathered the courage to visit Joy. Standing outside the grand house, Cynthia felt small. When Joy opened the door, her face lit up in surprise. "Cynthia," she exclaimed, embracing her old friend. "It's been so long." Inside, the warmth of the home pressed against Cynthia's heart. She watched Daniel play with the children, heard the laughter echoing through the rooms, and felt a pang so deep it nearly broke her. "You are blessed, Joy," she said quietly, her eyes misty. Joy squeezed her hand. "Cynthia, we both made our choices. Don't lose hope. Life can still turn around." But Cynthia knew. She knew the years wasted on vanity, the fleeting pleasure she had chased, the men who had come and gone, they had stolen something she could never recover. She smiled faintly, hiding the ache in her chest. When she left that day, Joy stood at the doorway watching her go, her heart heavy with both love and sorrow for her oldest friend. The two women's lives stood as mirrors of each other. One had chosen patience, faith, and love, and her reward was peace and abundance. The other had chosen fleeting pleasures, and her harvest was emptiness. And so the story of Joy and Cynthia became a quiet lesson in their community. Parents told it to their daughters, reminding them that beauty fades, but character remains. Friends whispered it to one another, saying, "Look at Joy. Look at Cynthia. Choose wisely." For in the end, it was not riches or attention that defined a woman's future. It was the choices she made when she was young, the seeds she planted when the world seemed full of options. Joy had planted faithfulness, and her harvest was love everlasting. Cynthia had planted vanity, and her harvest was emptiness. And once the dust of youth had settled, only the truth remained.